more can I say?
Top Billin. All right, Top Billin. Not gonna lie, I'm already regretting doing this bad boy because I know what type of time it is every damn time I do Georgia content, and especially if it deals with the quarterback position. I absolutely dread it. But hey, we gotta work, so we gotta continue to trek on here. In regards to Alabama versus Georgia, I don't necessarily really want to talk about that. I want to talk about moving forward because I see everyone poo-pooing on Georgia, thinking that they're about to lose to Michigan or they can't win the national title, and I think that's ludicrous. It's just as ludicrous as the same people who were thinking that Alabama couldn't beat Georgia. There's a reason why I did that content before the game, and I had everybody put their predictions down because I could see the goofiness going around and people thinking that Georgia was going to blow out Alabama when I say that styles make fights. That's just what it is. That's football, baby. Styles make fights. But with that being said, there's a certain thing called adjustments. And Georgia could very well adjust and play Alabama again and beat them. Straight up. Georgia's a very good team that could very well win the national championship still this year. And everybody thought that before the Alabama game. Now everybody jumped off that particular train there. And I think it's premature to do that. There are some plays that were left on the field that would make this game look a lot better, a lot closer, in my opinion. Georgia did not play that bad of a game. At a certain point in time, the wheels fell off. But before then, man, you had people running around talking all crazy when Georgia was up like 10-0, and people were commenting on my channel, talking about how good Georgia was and how I was wrong and this and that about Alabama and this and that. So it just goes to show you these people just ride the wave of football and they just fly by the seat of their pants. Now, I'm going to start with this right here because I know that's what people are going to want to start with, the negativity, because they hate Stetson Bennett. But he did some really good things in this game, and there were some plays left on the field where this could be a lot different. Now, we know the results of this particular play right here, right? You have your Mike fire here or your second level fire, right? So they're still sending 4. However, you're going to have man coverage or some type of area match coverage here by the outside linebackers, both of them, Sanders and Will Anderson, here on the inside receivers with this motion to empty there. So just going to pretty much have vertical routes on the outside here. A vertical route almost look like it's going to be ran by skinny posts. On the inside here, you have an out route there, which got Drew Sanders with that leverage covering there, and got a drag route hemmed up by Will Anderson here against Brock Bowers, I believe. And then you're going to have where the cheese was made for Alabama here, an in-breaking route right into what originally looks like 2-deep coverage, but it's a rat coverage, right? So he's going to all he has to do is plant his feet in the ground right there and let the play develop, because he's going to have this man pretty much rolling to the post. So they throw that, or Stetson throws that right into rat coverage. Poor decision, no doubt about that. This happens. I've seen it happen to plenty of people in every football game that I played, no matter how good they're playing. Some people will make a mistake. That's just football. It's a bad throw, bad mistake. It led to 6 points the other way. Had he not thrown this, or maybe threw it somewhere else, where could he have thrown this, right? Good protection right here, but that clock is going off in his head because they were pressuring him there. Really nowhere to throw this. Nobody's open right now. Maybe he can wait, but I hate doing that. People don't understand how quick football moves. When you slow something down, it looks way different than what it does when you're actually playing the game of football there. So he needs to have thrown this bad boy right now, or maybe vacated from the pocket or something like that and got rid of it. Maybe try to get some yards with his legs, but he didn't, and he threw a bad throw. All right, we got that out the way. When people read off the statistics from Stetson Bennett for this game, I would think that they would make sure that they acknowledge that one of the interceptions was not his fault. 2 interceptions, that pick 6 was terrible. That was his fault. This is not his fault. I don't understand this and why people aren't pointing this out. And imagine if this did not happen. These are the breaks of the game. Like, you can play this game 9 out of 10 times and maybe this doesn't happen. And then look at that. They're in the red zone. They drove all the way to the 20-yard line. They could at least got a field goal out of this. Maybe something even more. But what you're going to have here is them flooding the field, right? Working to the boundary here. You're going to have a vert route by Marcus Roseman here. McIntosh, I love it when they put these 2 running backs in the game at the same time here. He comes in motion just to kind of widen the defense out here. You got Lad McConkey coming on a deep over route. You got in kind of a shallower over route going by my man Brock Bowers here, who just stops. He stops. You see that right there? He stopped. Right? And then you got a flat route going by James Cook here. So you see him flooding this side of the field. But how is this his fault, man? Somebody explain this to me, and why aren't people pointing this out? Right? You get the motion guy right here. We take a snapshot of it. I love how they do this too, because it's going to end up being a rollout, right? Roll this bad boy to this side of the field here. And I want you to watch Brock Bowers and watch him stop his motion. He stopped. He stopped before he could cross face on Helms there. That would have been a fine throw. It would have been a fine throw. Really nowhere else to go with this ball. That would have been a fine throw at the very least. He could have bodied him out, and maybe the pass is just batted down by Helms or him trying to get through Bowers' arms. But I want you to watch right here. Check this out. This man goes, and for some odd reason, he doesn't continue his route. I don't know if he look at this. He does not continue his route. He just stops. Both feet planted in the ground right there. All he had to do was continue running, and he would have gotten in front of Helms. No ifs, ands, or buts about this situation there. Not his fault, man. Come on. Let's be real about the situation, right? Just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean you can't tell the real. Instead of that interception, suppose this bang 8 right here was completed to Brock Bowers, and imagine what that does for the outcome of the game. This is one of the prettiest throws I had seen, man. Y'all got to give this kid props for this particular throw right here. This wasn't his fault. Look at this. Over the top bracket coverage, and he had that bad boy. That is a virgin tight window, right? A virgin tight window out of an empty set. Great job with the pass pro there. And you can see Daniel Wright right here getting smoked like usual. Bowers has him. He turns and contorts his body. The pass is exactly where you would want it to be, especially if you want that man to protect himself. All he has to do is squeeze this bad boy. And I believe 9 out of 10 times he probably does come down with that. This was just one of those days where it didn't. Bang, he hit himself, jackhammered himself, went into a little bit of a mini coma. Ball squirts loose there, pause, and you have the result there. But that throw was pretty. Imagine if that came right there. That's another touchdown. So that would be 4 touchdowns and only 1 interception. Then what are we talking about there? You're still getting on a guy with 4 touchdowns and 1 interception in a game, albeit a pick 6? What are we doing here? Check this out right here. Prior to this particular point, I believe Stetson Bennett was something crazy, maybe like 9 out of 9 or something like that. He was absolutely hot to start the game. And like I said before, you should have seen what people were saying, because I was getting these messages on the channel about how hot he was, and it was looking like it could actually be a blowout in Georgia's favor. But this play right here is severely underrated in terms of momentum, right? You get a quick slant here to A.D. Mitchell. Now, this takes some guts to run a quick slant here with a safety right at the catch point, right? Barreling down on you. But guess what? That's football, man. We've all been there before. You just got to catch it. And chances are you could get hit anyway. So at least you would want to get hit catching the ball, right? But right here, they said something like he threw it too early. He didn't throw it too early. The fuck out of here. He threw that shit perfectly. Absolutely perfect. Comes out on the pool. 1, 2, rock. And then that's what you're going to hit right there. You want to lead this man and get that ball up on him right there. The reason why A.D. Mitchell's head's not around yet, because he's concerned with Helms right here, who could peel his cap back, right? So he hits that man. The ball is out before an anticipatory throw. People always talk about this. Anticipatory throw. You can see right here. Look, coming out. You see him right now looking at Helms. He didn't want it. He's worried about the safety who's not even there. He was worried about the safety who was not even there. He could have caught this, and they would have moved the sticks on this, and the ball was absolutely perfect. Boom. Absolutely perfectly thrown right there. He alligator armed it. You do see Helms coming down to light him up, though, but he alligator armed that shit, and he didn't want no parts of it. That's not Stetson Bennett's fault. So what happens if you move the chains right there? everything's a chain reaction, man. You just never know. Now, don't misconstrue anything that I'm doing right here. Stetson Bennett did not play a perfect game, but you don't have to play a perfect game to win a football game. Very few times do people just play absolutely perfect games. He played well enough that if some of this stuff didn't happen, Georgia was right there. That's just what I'm trying to tell people. And also, don't get me wrong, Michigan could also beat Georgia too. So don't think that I'm saying that Georgia's going to beat Michigan. I do think it's a tough matchup for Michigan because who's the most Michigan State team you could think of? Georgia is what Michigan State wants to be. So think about that from that perspective if you do want to play football math. But still, Michigan and Georgia, two very similar teams. I just think that Georgia has a little bit more depth to it. But like I said before, depth doesn't always come into play, so you just never know how these things will go. I think it's going to be a very good game. But on this particular play right here, this didn't make sense to me. You're talking about another third down play here. Going to have a flat route by James Cook, which I think being ran in man coverage against Henry To'o here, you would probably run it on a plane like this from the coverage you're getting. You'll see James Cook, he'll start to run this, and then he'll look back and then start to shoot it up this way, and Stetson Bennett throws it to where I would think you would want to throw this to. Now, I don't know. I'm looking for some feedback on this one right here. I know people don't like Stetson Bennett, so they'll go with whatever is the opposite of what probably happened. But if you look at this right here, this didn't make sense to me as a route. What type of route is this, and why would you look back upfield? That's a missed opportunity here because if you see where Stetson threw it at, he threw it to where James Cook looked like he was originally going to run. And he was going to lead him to the outside, and then he could turn up the field. So look where Cook is right now. You would think that that ball would hit somewhere out here if he's leading them out. So let's see where the ball hits. What we doing here, man? He threw that bad boy out. He was going to lead him. But look what Cook does. He takes himself off that plane. He literally looks upfield. Look, he turns his head like he's going to run upfield. Look, he veers off the path there. Look, he took his head off and veered off the path, and this is what you get here. That's some type of miscommunication. At the very least, we'll call it a miscommunication. But logically speaking, routes are definitive in nature, and that was pretty much ambiguous. What we need to talk about is how this inside fade and some of these explosive plays and how Alabama was able to shoot the ball all over the yard on the #1 defense of all time, at least is what I was told by a bunch of Georgia fans prior to the game against Alabama. Like, you got to still play ball, man. Like, look at this. Why is this happening? Like, that's Stetson Bennett's fault too, right? Like, come on, man. You got to play a complete team effort to win a national championship, which was my original point. Georgia has to lead Georgia to a national championship. It can't always just be about the quarterback, because then you overlook things like giving up 1,000,000 yards to Alabama and 41 points. When in actuality, suppose the defense played a little bit better and some of those things happened or didn't happen that I just diagrammed and went over. Then it's a little bit different. Suppose Alabama scores 31 points or something like that. Just plays slightly better, and then some of those things went the way of Georgia. Then it becomes just a different game. That's all I'm saying, man. So I want to know how you have bracket coverage and a guy like Jameson Williams still gets an explosive touchdown going against your prize 5-star cornerback recruit here on a Stuggo. Like, these are the type of things that have to be answered as well if Georgia's going to win a national championship outside of the quarterback play. So you see right here, what is that? Y'all know I hate that right there. You have touch and go coverage, but my man Keely Ringo here stays in the friend zone. Like, how you going to stay in the friend zone, not get hands on man right here? Why do it, right? I don't understand this. Why be that close if you're going to not get hands on man? I know Keely Ringo, or y'all think he's fast. I'm not so sure about that, right? Track speed and football speed have to be two totally different things because he doesn't look that fast out there to me. And he's forever getting run by. Look at this. He already got a step on him anyway. But then he bars it down, hits him with the stuggo, gets Keely to stop his feet, and he's not going to be able to keep up with the 0-60 right there. And what's the safety doing here? Who's this, Lewisine? He's standing flat-footed, and we know he can't run like that. That's just too easy. Bang! From way downtown, bang. A lot of questions to be answered beyond just the quarterback if Georgia's going to win the national championship. But these things can be answered. A simple thing called adjustment. Make an adjustment, and we can see where it goes from there. I have faith that Georgia's coaching staff will come out with something different, and we shall see. But ain't nothing to it but to do it. First up the bat is Michigan. Michigan can definitely beat Georgia as well, so can't rust on your laurels there and start looking ahead to a future matchup there. So should be a good playoff, man. I cannot wait for it. It's your boy, the Underground King, DMV Murph, back at it again. Salute to everybody out there with the quality support. I appreciate you guys as always, and we shall see how it turns out, man. I'm excited for it, but I'll have more on this game for sure. All right, peace.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.